let's start off with the first letter that the Attorney General Merrick Garland wrote, and as we remember from October 4th, the backstory of this is Merrick Garland posted this letter out there saying that the U.S. federal government was going to use its resources to track down and protect all the school officials, school board members, and such from the evil domestic terrorists known as the parents who are standing up for their children and standing up for their children's rights. Because the week prior, 5 days before this letter, the Biden administration received a letter from the School Boards Association detailing the 14 separate issues on as examples of the 1,400 school boards out there that were having problems. Like, so there's 1,400 school boards, and they showed you 14, and that is the basis of the action that the federal government is taking. So what is that action, and where is it coming from? So we're going to move on to the next this letter here, which is from the America First Legal Foundation. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Hat tip to Mark Levin, who I heard this on his show Thursday night, and we give credit where credit is due. Obviously, he didn't write this. This is from the American First Legal Foundation, and they were very good to put this on the internet. But I just want you to hear some of the things. They break it down, some of the things we just talked about, and also about, I just want to highlight the Supreme Court has repeatedly recognized American parents' fundamental liberty, interest in the constitutional right to control and direct education of their own children. That is a key thing. We're going to jump down here to key Biden administration stakeholders, including National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and others, have combined to oppress, threaten, and intimidate parents to chill and prevent them from exercising the rights or privileges secured by the Constitution. To date, these efforts, though extensive, had generally proven ineffectual. And let me make this bigger so people can see it from their screens. There we go. I want to lay out before I go any further that this letter is very interesting in the fact that it comes across as almost like a legal argument. It makes several key points that we'll dive into before we're done with it. But I just want you to look at this through a legal lens, or what you may consider a legal lens, because they certainly and clearly are looking at this through a legal lens. In early September, the Biden administration stakeholders held discussions regarding avenues for potential federal action against parents with a key Biden Domestic Policy Council official, known as Jane Doe 1, and White House staff, John Doe number 1. Stakeholders also held discussion with senior department officials, including at least one political appointee in the department's Civil Rights Division, Jane Doe number 2. So Jane Doe number 1, John Doe number 1, and others in the White House separately expressed concern regarding the potential partisan political impact of parent mobilization and organization around school issues in the upcoming midterm elections. That last sentence, I think, is key, that these two members of the White House separately expressed concern regarding the potential partisan political impact of parent mobilization and organization around school issues in the upcoming midterm elections. That's a key point. Upon information, the belief at the express direction of, or with the express consent of Jane Doe number 1, Jane Doe number 2, and other Biden administration officials, developed a plan to use a letter from an outside group, in parentheses, not the usual suspects, as pretext for federal action to chill, deter, and discourage parents from exercising their constitutional rights and privileges. I just want to reference you back to the previous line, if you'll...
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 48. The motion to...
That's what you call technology issues. They have an automatic refresh on that page so they can boost up their numbers. So I just want to recap right there what I was just interrupted. This line, this pretext to chill, deter, and discourage parents goes back to this sentence here. White House separately expressed concerns regarding the potential partisan political impact of parent mobilization. Of course, they're talking about, John, the 2022 congressional election, about how it's going to cause the Democratic Party to tank and lose because of what's going on with this parental quote unquote mobilization, right? So that's like the connection between the two. I want to pull up over here on or about September 29th, as we know, citing legal authorities, including the Patriot Act, the National School Boards Association, that not the usual suspect, made a public letter demanding federal action against parents, citing authorities, including the Patriot Act. Just as a refresher for all those of you out there who are unaware, but the local school boards issues, the local schools issues are meant to be handled not by the federal government, but by the local government, and in some rare circumstances, the state government. That is the purpose of the local law enforcement. It is not the job of the federal government to be doing that. It doesn't. It's again connected to the local precinct, the local jurisdiction. And I want to also dive in here. On October 4th, the Attorney General's memorandum was made public. The short time frame between September 29th and the Attorney General's memorandum suggests that either the entire matter was pre-coordinated and the September 29th was pretext, or that the normal clearance process and standard order, both within the department and between the department and the White House counsel's office and Office of Budget Management, were bypassed or corrupted. So it's either, there's either corruption in the system, or there's they fast tracked this and completely ignored the safeguards in place that would normally be there to keep the federal government from abusing its power, which this is clearly an abuse of power. I'm not going to read any more because it just goes on to summarize. It does point out, which wasn't talked about, in other places, but down here at the very bottom, one of the ninth one right here, the ninth reference, which is therefore we thank you in advance for your attention to this important matter. 9, go down here, read with me. AFL is aware of allegations suggesting the Attorney General is related by the marriage of his daughter to a person who is compensated by public schools to conduct gender identity surveys and data analysis. See the connected information. So again, that's what we talked about before, brother, about Merrick Garland has a personal stake. So let's talk about the legal implications in the next 5 minutes. So the legal implications, brother, you're the legal scholar here.
Okay, so for example, I'll use this example. Say you had a district attorney of the county, and the district attorney of the county decided he was going to punish his rivals politically. So Sussex County, Delaware County, there's a DA, and he starts having his DAs find reasons to prosecute the opposite party, whether it's Republican or Democrat. What would you call that? You would call that nothing more than criminal. That's what it is. You can't use the organs of the state to punish your adversaries politically, and that's exactly what they're doing. They don't want the rise of another Tea Party. Not that we weren't sold out. The Tea Party wasn't sold out by the rhinos when they got in. Good old Paul Ryan scumbag who should rot in hell because he's a billionaire because he married his wife and the companies and Santorum and all the rest of them. But they can't stand the idea that the people rose up in the Tea Party and even in the Occupy Wall Street movement. They don't want that. So what they're going to do is they're going to use the federal government and its position to the federal government to.
I lost you there, brother.
To go. This should be law and put in jail. This would be a use of the district, the DOJ against political opponents. I mean, what else? Obama got away with it with that little coward and Fast and Furious, Holder, good old Eric Holder, when he used Fast and Furious to go against them, and Lois Lerner to use when they politicized the IRS and used the IRS to go against the Tea Party. It's at some point and of course they're using it. Nancy Pelosi's using it to go against the people who protested on Capitol. In Capitol on January 6th. At what point do we say enough is enough? And the Republicans who are, who are allegedly representing us, are they going to go, you know what? Enough of this. We're going to impeach you creeps for doing this. You can't do it. I don't care what side you are. If you're for fair government and you're not some kind of woke-tard religious type of zealot, which is what the other side is full of, then you have to understand whether you're in or out, the government cannot be used against you to quell your speech. There's not been one incident of any of these parents as they gather together to object to their tax money being spent to teach a bunch of nonsense and stupidity. Not one incident of violence. All this is the use is the further degrading of American democracy by the use of the DOJ to go against parents. And this should be the breaking. If there's anything that's going to break the camel's back, this should be it. When these parents who are getting, who move to like the good areas, the rich areas, so they can put their kids to a good public school, then are criminalized, fake criminalized by this fake DOJ, a clown, and then facing being locked up for what? Speaking their mind at a parent's, as a parents on a school board meeting. Yeah. All right. That's why he has to go to jail. And if they don't put him to jail, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So you might as well do it now, pull the scab off the band, pull the Band-Aid off the scab, and start prosecuting this clown for what he is, a clown. He's not only is he a clown, but he's a corrupt clown because he's doing it for money, just to get on the bandwagon, like good old Nancy Pelosi and all. The thing is, when Pelosi in the Senate, when they misuse the government for money, they're allowed to do it because they wrote in those exceptions. They shouldn't have them, but they wrote them in. Good old the DOJ doesn't have those exemptions. That's the executive branch. They don't have exemptions to do corrupt acts like that. So that's one more thing he needs to be locked up for. But at what point is the so-called Republicans going to start standing up and going, you know what? Enough's enough. This guy needs to go to jail. We need to have hearings. At least start the ball rolling so he can be removed from office so that he can then be prosecuted criminally. And that's what
but
to say about that.
It's not just that they are using the power to lock people up. They're using the power to destroy. They want to use this power to destroy people's lives. Like they want to dive in. They want to use the full power of the Patriot Act to go after them, to dive into, give you a colostomy, right? Right all the way up. You're a digital colostomy. And
you mean a colonoscopy?
Sorry, digital colonoscopy, and find out everything that you've ever done wrong, anything that you've ever messed up on, and they want to punish you with that as well. This isn't just going after you for what you're doing in front of the school boards. It's the dehumanizing, the turning you into a terrorist, and putting the entire force of the federal government against you. How do we combat that? How do we deal with that? Any ideas? Did I lose you? Brother? Hello?
I'm back yet.
Yeah. There you go.
With criminal prosecutions. That's what the criminal code is for. It's to lock up when you misuse your government position. Like I said, if you had a county prosecutor, if you had a county district attorney, the guy in Philadelphia, if he starts locking up, he's a Democrat, he's paid by George Soros. If he starts locking up the few Republicans that they are, or more likely, he starts locking up his Democratic rivals, obviously we would go, wow, that's corrupt. He's got to stop that. We need to lock him up. Well, what's the difference between the FBI has even less, the FBI and the DOJ have even less right to say anything about a school board. They have no right to say anything about a school board. Unless you can prove some kind of racism, you have zero authority to do this. So again, no proof. There's been zero incidents other than members getting yelled at by the constituency, rightly so, by the parents who were ticked off by this nonsense.